1000F, Nails is here with the weather.
Thanks very much, Justin. Good morning to you. Well, a rather cloudy start to much of the country. I'll start with England, and we've got a lot of cloud around with some low cloud.
My name's Jonny. I sometimes take photographs for a magazine called Fast Bikes. I feel a bit sorry for this 1000F. Firstly, its temporary keeper happens to be me, so it has to put up with my rubbish attempts at riding and maintaining it, not that I do much of either of those things. But secondly, I'm finding it hard to find much love for it, and that's making us both feel sad. And look sad. So, over the next few months, I'm going to set about remedying this. In no particular order, it looks like it does, which is fine. Some say it looks like a maxi scooter. I think it's a decent enough attempt at a fared naked bike. Can you have that? Whatever. There are angles where it looks great, some less so. But the main thing is, in my head, it doesn't look quite like what it actually is. Or shall I say, how it makes you ride it. The throttle response is beyond enthusiastic, and it's worst at lower revs. You end up being an almost willing accomplice to acts of tarmac vandalism, but you're guilty by association. So I can't decide whether to try and fix the overeager pickup or make it look and feel a bit more like the delinquent youth that it seems to want to be. But before I tackle that, I'm thinking about its suspension. As it came, its ride managed to be both lumpy firm and a bit uncontrolled, which definitely exposes my lack of suspension know-how and possibly the GSX's hardware. There was only one way to sort both of these, which was to ask an expert. JHS James is that expert.
Well, I can feel by just moving the forks up and down. We haven't got a great deal of sag in the front forks. It's compliant, it's just coming back too fast. So the rebound is greater than the compression is. Okay, so what we'd want to do, I'll measure the sag, and first off I'm going to do that by winding the preload off and have a look where our settings are, our preload is. So let me get my magic tool. All right. You see what's happened instantly? The rebounds come into play because we've taken spring preload off. So we're now on 2 turns of preload, and our sag is increased. So now what we're going to do, young William's going to measure my sag for me. 15mm sag. See where we are on the compression, please. 7. Okay, put me at 6. And the same on the other side. Okay. Give me another click on, please. What I'm looking for is to find a point of adjustability. The clicks or turns will make a difference to the fork leg feeling. Right, we're getting there slowly. Give us another one. Right, that's too much. Right, come back to 5. So we found that window of opportunity. Yeah. 6 was bleeding by too much. 4 was closing it off too much. 5's a good, even flow rate. Okay, let's have a look at rebang now. Close this one off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope, not enough. 1, 2. 1, 2. There.
So on the front, what's the summary of where we've ended up compared to stock?
We ended up with 3 more on the rebound, less spring preload. Okay, which is inherently give us more sag, and we have more compression damping. Okay, so we're not riding on the spring so much, and then the suspension's trying to control that spring because he's overloaded. We've taken the load off that spring, and we're letting the spring use all its travel to absorb the energy, and we're just controlling that. So it will stick to the road a lot better, and it'll feel less bumpy. It'll feel a lot smoother.
Great.
Right, back end then. So we have 7mm of static sag, which is right within the ballpark figure of where we need to be at. Rebound, what I'm going to do, I'm going to set it to 1 turn out and see what it does. Hasn't changed it a great deal. Let's go for half a turn and see what it does. That's better. Let's go 1/4 of a turn. Yeah. Let's go back to half a turn.
Where we ended up relative to stock?
We are half a turn out on our rebound, a lot more rebound damping, right, but it's had very little effect on it. We're getting so much bleed by on the shock absorber. But obviously, what we can do with the back end is very limited to the amount of adjustment we've got on it. You need to go for a ride.
I do. I need to see. Yes, I do. I'd been wondering if it might be simpler to get used to the 1000F on a track rather than familiar roads.
But I've got quite a noisy bike. You have.
So I went to Castle Combe to check that it would pass their noise test. Some standard Suzukis have trouble here.
101 bang on.
You alright? Yeah, you'll be alright with that.
That's great, thank you.
So next time we'll see how we got on with that. Meanwhile, I'll be working on how I feel about its appearance relative to its character. I'm not on Facebook, but here's my email address.